You leave work and get into your car. Before you even started driving, you're replaying that conversation again. Maybe she seemed a little different today. Maybe you came across as awkward. Maybe you shouldn't have said that. You tell yourself to stop thinking about it. 5 minutes later, you're thinking about it again. You get home. Tonight you're seeing some friends. But instead of looking forward to it, you're already thinking about what you're going to wear. You remember that comment someone made a few weeks ago. You wonder if people actually enjoy having you around. You imagine conversations that haven't even happened yet. You imagine what people might think when you walk into the room. And before you've even left the house, you're exhausted. Not because anything happened, because you spent the entire day carrying conversations that only exist inside your own head. Then one day, you're reading back through your journals. Different year, different names, different season of your life. But somehow, you're reading the exact same entry you've been writing for years. The same questions, the same worries, the same need for somebody else's approval. And that's when something starts to click. Maybe you spend so much of your life trying to understand everybody else's thoughts that you've never actually lived your own. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because suddenly, you realize this wasn't just one bad week, it's become the way you've been living. You don't remember choosing this. You don't remember waking up one morning and deciding that every conversation would become an investigation, that every text would need analyzing, that every interaction would carry emotional weight. It just happened, little by little, year after year, until replaying conversations became more normal than actually having them, until wondering what people thought about you became more familiar than asking what you actually thought about yourself. And then one day, you look back over the last 5 or 10 years and you realize you spend more time living inside your own head than living your own life. So I have this journal that I keep. I've been keeping it for like 4 years. So since 2022, I got onto self improvement and I quickly learned one of the good things to do is to journal. Just journal your thoughts, analyze. You don't have to analyze your thoughts, but become aware of kind of what you're seeing. And I remember there was this time, it was towards the end of last year, and it also happened this year as well, where I'm busy journaling and I'm just like, man, I have 4 years worth of journals. I'm like, let me go back a bit. Let me go and look for like a random journal entry in like 2022 or 2023. And I mean, like I was just saying in the monologue I was reading, it looked all too familiar. I was like, it has been 4 years and I'm still asking the same question. You could do an analysis of what I was writing in 2022, 2023, 24, 25, and 26. And the entries would follow the same pattern. The language is substantially better. Maybe I'm better at actually seeing what I'm doing. But ultimately, it's the same cycle, running the same cycle, dealing with the same struggle, still worrying what other people are thinking. And there's always this sadness that sits in you, this kind of regret where it's like, ugh, you know, if me from 4 years ago could see what I'm still writing about now, that would be defeating. And it's always scary when you think about it going forward because it's like, okay, imagine now if I'm sitting right now and I'm looking at my journal entries from 2030 and I see them still looking the same. Like, imagine how much despair you might be in. Maybe for you it's not 4 years, maybe it's like 2 years, it's like 6 months, or whatever the case is. But there's something about sitting and just looking and realizing, man, I've been dealing with this same thing forever, like the same struggle. And you've probably been living this way too. I mean, that's why you clicked on this video, right? There's something about, why you care too much that makes you think, man, it is me. I care too much. And I've known forever that I care too much. And it makes you think, man, because it's like, well, imagine what life would be like if I didn't care so much, you know? And I think the important thing to also think about is what it's costing you. Because, cool, we can sit here and speak about, the regrets and everything, but think about how much time you spent in those journals. I'll go back to myself. I think about how much time I spent writing journals about it would be the same girl for like freaking 6 months or whatever, but different girls over a long period of time, but the same kind of cycle, the same thing, like nothing really coming out of it. It's just me thinking about what people are saying, or this friend did this or whatever, all my insecurities, and it's like doing the same thing over and over again, it's not costing you nothing. It is costing you significant mental energy that you could be using somewhere else. Your life could just be, could feel less exhausting if you just didn't spend as much time doing this. Now, it's a bit of a tough thing because you don't ruminate because you want to. Like, we don't do this for the fun of it. It's not like I sit here caring about what other people are doing because I just want to do that. Like, it's not like you are deliberately choosing it like over a long period of time, but it's not something. It's a compulsion rather than a decision, like a conscious decision to do it all the time. But I think we'll get into that later in this video. But you realize that the hardest part wasn't caring too much. It was believing that carrying this much was somehow helping. Every conversation felt important. Every thought felt worth following. Every question felt like it deserved an answer. So you kept thinking, you kept analyzing, you kept replaying. And somewhere along the way, you realized none of it actually moved your life forward. The question stayed, the uncertainty stayed, but the years didn't. Those kept moving. And maybe that's the part that hurts the most. Not that you cared, but that while you were trying to understand your life, it quietly carried on without you. And eventually, one question starts becoming impossible to ignore. If you spent years doing this, why has nothing changed? You keep telling yourself that the next answer will finally bring you peace. Maybe if you think about it one more time, you'll finally understand what she meant. Maybe if you replay the conversation again, you'll finally stop feeling anxious. Maybe if you figure people out, you'll finally feel secure. So you keep chasing answers. But then another conversation comes, another interaction, another person, another question. And before you realize it, you've been running the same mental loop for years. Different faces, same cycle. Because the thinking never actually ends. It just finds someone new to think about. And I think this is important for us to actually spend some time thinking about, is that the cycle doesn't produce anything, right? You've been ruminating about this for years and it doesn't actually give you something. I remember I was doing this thing because I do this thing, and don't judge me. I am working on like not doing it, but I put my journals into AI and I was like, let's see like what patterns. I was desperate for like an objective, if I can say, an objective view of like what somebody outward looking in can see, like what patterns they can see in the journal. But I've watched tons of videos on like AI psychosis and all that, and it's not a good idea to let AI try and dissect what's going on in your mind. But there's some very interesting things I've learned just from putting in that. I can identify patterns better. I remember the one thing it told me was journaling about the problem and ruminating over the problem feels like you're working on the problem, but look back 4 years, nothing's actually changed. You're still running the same cycle, and I think that's what we need to catch ourselves when we're doing it. That's what we need to tell ourselves when we catch ourselves doing it. Is okay, cool. I'm ruminating. I have this particular interaction that I've had. Doesn't have to be a romantic, well, it's not romantic. It doesn't have to be an interaction with romantic connotations. Just any kind of interaction you've had. Maybe you had an interaction with your boss or somebody at church or whatever the case is. But anytime you have an interaction like that where you feel like, man, I need to spend some time journaling about that, thinking about it, whatever the case is, just think about that. It's like, this is not actually doing anything. Like, it's not moving the needle. It only works if you identify something that allows you to actually change your interaction the next time that you actually have it. Otherwise, you're just ruminating, running the same cycle. I can't think of a nice way of putting this, like the way Chris Williamson will put it. I guess I can try, but it's procrastination, masquerading as self-improvement, if I can put it that way. It feels like you're working on the problem, but you're not. You're not working on the problem. And I think the other really difficult part is, if you're somebody who introspects that much, you're probably not somebody who's not ambitious. Like, you have things you want to do in your life. You have dreams you want to achieve. You have goals you want to reach. You have had plans for your life. And my guess is, if you've been doing this, if you're like me, I can make myself exhibit A. I haven't achieved all the things I wish I would have achieved in the last 4 years. But I've been doing this. Now, it's not that I haven't achieved because of this, just this takes a significant chunk. It makes it less likely that I'm going to achieve the things I want to. And it's costing real time, like genuine time and brain power. And it's important for you to realize that it's not just nothingness. Like, it's not just something you're just like, oh, I'm just doing this in my as a pastime or whatever. Like, it's actually costing you stuff. It's costing you your dreams. You have things you actually want to achieve. You have a person you want to become, and it's difficult to do that when you're constantly preoccupied with ruminating about your social situation. This is no different than the time you would spend on TikTok or social media, whatever the case is, right? Where you're numbing yourself and you're kind of just procrastinating, so you're wasting, you're chucking time down the drain. It's different in the fact that at least, when you're on TikTok or whatever it is, you're not fooling yourself into thinking you're being productive. Now there is kind of a section of this where if you're watching like self-improvement videos, you feel like you're being productive, but you're not being productive, right? But for the most part, you can see, like, when your screen time comes when you get the notification every week. I don't know if you guys get it every week. I always get it every week on Sunday at 9:17 a.m. It's so interesting that it's always at that time. But when you get that screen time notification at the end of every week, you know, you know how much time you wasted on your phone. But it's difficult for you to get that summary on, I've spent time thinking about, this girl that, and nothing's gonna happen. Maybe because she's not available or whatever, or maybe something can happen, but it's not happening because you're spending so much time thinking about it. Or I spend so much time thinking about my position in my friend group, or I spend so much time thinking about, the people at work, and whether I'm like good or whatever the case is. That doesn't come as a summary report at the end of every week to say you've wasted time doing this, and you feel like you're working on the problem, but you're not. And something else I find so interesting, and I think we should do this more often. I remember hearing this on Chris Williamson's podcast, actually, and he was saying, imagine your life was a movie that was being broadcasted, like The Truman Show, for example. What would the audience be screaming at you to say? It's obvious. It's obvious. Just do this. It's obvious. Stop seeing that person. It's obvious. Quit the job. It's obvious. Move across the country. Like, what's that thing that if somebody outward looking in was watching your life on a day-to-day basis, they would be like, come on, dude. Like, just do this thing. Like, it's so obvious. This is what's taking you down. It's so obvious. This is what's holding you back. It's important for us to think about that. Like, well, what is the thing? What's the pattern you keep repeating? When you're watching a movie, and imagine your life was a movie, and it's like, oh, here this person goes again. They did the cycle in their last relationship. They're about to do it again, or they did this in the old friend group where they were struggling for I don't know. They were struggling to feel secure in their position, so they went and did this, and they started sucking up to this person, and then this thing happened, and then they took that personally, etc. Now it's a new friendship group, and they're going to do the same thing. Like, what is that thing that somebody outward looking in would be like, it's so obvious, you need to stop doing this? I think that's an important thing to think about, because then something strange starts to happen. You stop asking whether the answers are worth finding, and you start asking whether the questions were ever worth asking. Because every answer you've chased has eventually been replaced by another question. But the things that actually changed your life never came from another hour of thinking. They came from the moments you acted, the moments you stepped forward without certainty, the moment you stopped trying to decode life and started living it. And maybe that's what you've been missing all along. Your life was never waiting on another answer. It was waiting for your attention. But maybe the biggest thing you've misunderstood was never the people. Maybe it was yourself. Then you try something different. Instead of asking another question, you grab a piece of paper. You write down your age, your job, your faith, your strengths, your weaknesses, your goals. Nothing emotional, just facts. Then you give this person a different name, a different country, a completely different life. And as you read the page back, something starts to feel different. Now, what I was setting up in that opening, the monologue I just read now, is do that exercise. Write down on a page all the facts about yourself, all the things you've achieved, your age, where you're from, your level of your ability to speak, the amount of people who've given you compliments, whatever it is. Like, just put facts down that like objective facts that you know about yourself, and then turn that into a character. Give them a name, make them live like halfway across the world from where you live, and think about what you think about that person. And I know it's difficult because we live like in our heads, and I think that's where for me the compulsion to go and give my journals to AI to decode them or whatever came from that. It was like, cool, I see myself a certain way, but I want to see how the world sees me. Now, you don't go give your stuff to AI. It's not a good idea. But write on a list, on a page, write on the list of all the facts about yourself, everything that is just factually true that has happened, and then make that into a person and think about how you would view that person. It's not you; it's a different person now. How would you view that person? And just start to see how different. Whoa, kick my camera. Just start to see how different you would treat that person versus the way you treat yourself. Like, how much more lenient you'd be with that person than with yourself. How much more generous you would be with your view of them than you are with yourself. I mean, it gets to a point, man. Like, if you're somebody who, people compliment you on the way you dress, or like on the way you look, or whatever it is, surely at a certain point you're like, man, I'm not the ugliest thing to ever walk the face of this planet. Or people give you compliments on your personality or the kind of person you are. You're a great person to be around. Like, surely I'm not like the biggest loser in the world. Like, surely at some point the facts have to come to contention with the identity you've given yourself, because you confuse facts. Facts mean only as much as their utility in the story that you tell yourself, right? So you have this view of yourself, and we all have this view. And just the way we work as humans, we love stories. We love stories, and when we look at other people, there's a story we tell ourselves about them. We get a new piece of information, and we're like, oh, maybe that's not the story. Maybe this is the story. And you get, the more kind of pieces you put together, the clearer the story becomes, right? But as a human being, you've got this mountain of evidence that happened, when you were younger. And here's the interesting thing: the evidence we consider like, oh man, these people treated me like this when I was younger. It means I am not chosen or whatever. So now I have to spend the rest of my life trying to make myself worthy of being loved, or whatever the case is. A lot of these facts we tell ourselves from younger aren't actually true facts. And this isn't just me making some crazy statement. Like, it is actually true from people who study memory. Your memory isn't accurate. It's not built to be accurate. That's not how the human brain works. It's not supposed to be accurate. It's supposed to help you move towards becoming a specific person, I guess, if I can put it that way. Um, but go do the research on it. It's so true. Like, the memories you have, like, you have this memory in your mind of like when you were 8 and this person said this one thing to you, and then you know this thing happened and everyone saw, and oh my gosh, you were like the most embarrassing person that day, and everyone was looking at you and whatever. And it's like, if you actually go chat to somebody who was there, if you're able to do that, I'm just using an example, that's probably not what happened. Maybe somebody they did say that thing, but maybe it wasn't, as blown up as you said it was. And that's just how our memory works. But the point I'm trying to get at here is that as we were younger, we'd get these facts, let's call them, right? And we have this kind of picture we have of ourselves. Oh, this person said this person did this, oh, this happened to me, whatever. And a lot of those things just keep accumulating. You build this iceberg, right, of evidence towards who you are, and you start to tell yourself a story based on that. And the way it works, as far as I can see it, is that as you get older, the facts aren't so much determining the story you tell yourself as much as the story you tell yourself is determining how much the facts matter. So if you grew up telling yourself, man, I am undesirable, people only like me if I can offer something, but the moment I stop, they stop caring about me. When you get older, you might get evidence that contradicts that assertion. Like, maybe somebody actually cares about you, but you just disregard it because it doesn't fit the story you've grown up telling yourself. And then whenever something happens that seems to fit that category, you're like, oh, you see, this is exactly what I meant. This is true. This is what I meant. People don't care about me. They only care about what I have to offer, or whatever it is. The moment somebody shows you some kind of, I guess, affection, not based on anything you've done, you're like, oh, maybe they're just being nice, or that's just who they are, or whatever. You start fitting the facts into the story you tell yourself, and you disregard that because it contradicts the story you tell yourself, and then you take that and you hold it dear because it reinforces the story you've been telling yourself. And I think that's why it's just important to actually do that exercise. Just write down the facts about yourself, make it a different person, and see the way you would treat that person. And then maybe you stop caring so much about the things that you care about as much as you do. Like it's the reason we care about all these things isn't really just because we care about the things. It's because we're looking for evidence to, or either reinforce or destroy a story that we've been telling ourselves. And we spend your whole life doing this thing, and then it becomes crazy because now anytime evidence comes that gets you are actually looking for, you disregard it because it's not, absolute enough. And then one day you're going to get that evidence, and then you're going to disregard it for another reason. And it's just such a sad state of, of living as a human, I guess. It's a sad part of the human brain, I guess. But you read through the list again, and you realize there's nothing on the page that says you're unlikable. Nothing that says you'll always be behind. Nothing that says you'll never become the man you want to be. Those things were never facts. They were stories. Stories you repeated so often that they started sounding like truth. And for the first time, you meet yourself without years of insecurity introducing you first. And once you see that, your attention starts drifting somewhere new. You catch yourself doing it again. You're halfway through another imaginary conversation, halfway through solving another problem that doesn't exist yet. And then you stop because you realize you've been here before. You followed this road hundreds of times. It never actually takes you anywhere. But the thing sitting in front of you, the training, the work, the friendships, your relationship with God, the things you've always known you should be building, those have been waiting for you the whole time. So, I mean, this part is pretty simple, guys. Like, you already know what you should be doing. I think the first part to do is actually put your attention where your future is. If you're somebody who is sitting through a video like this and you watch these kinds of videos, it's probably not that difficult if I ask you to sit down and say, cool, what are the problems in your life? What do you need to do to fix them? That's probably not that difficult. You probably spent enough time thinking about that and figuring out what you should be doing to fix things. And if you haven't, maybe this is a step for you to take. But my guess is you know what you should be doing. I'll use myself as an example. I spend all this time ruminating and thinking about all these things. And I'm like, man, I want to build this YouTube channel. I want to get in shape. I know what I should be doing. I need to get consistent sleep, wake up early, go read your Bible, go for your walk, come back, and then start your day. And if it's the weekend like it is now, go record your video, do your editing and all that stuff. I know what I should be doing. I should be investing my time in that instead of giving away your most precious cognitive capacity to ruminating about things that aren't actually moving the needle. Like if you actually go and do the things you want to be doing to build the life for yourself, it's a much better use of your time than spending it just going in circles. And I think the other thing is also to build structures that make the action easier. And this is very stock standard self-improvement advice. Stop putting yourself in the same environment over and over again and hoping you're gonna just outthink whatever the case is. If there's a person you're ruminating over, say it's a girl, maybe nothing's gonna happen, but you're always analyzing. Man, she said this thing. Could she like me? But oh no, but she can't. She's got a boyfriend or whatever the case is. Stop going and talking to her. Like stop putting yourself in those positions to have to fight this thing in the first place. Like actually put yourself in the position that's like, hey, I'm in a place now where I need to lock in. Okay, it's Saturday morning. I need to lock in and go do English. I need to lock in. I need to go do this. Clothes out. Like literally set yourself up. Okay, what? You need to wake up tomorrow and go for a run. Set your gym clothes out. Stop taking your phone into your bed. You already know the things you should be doing, right? Oh, I need to stop wasting time. I'm at work. I need to stop wasting time ruminating about, oh, what did this girl say to me, whatever. Stop going to her, stop messaging her, like just focus on your work, right? Like make things easier for yourself, build structures that make things easier, your environment, your routines, build community. And then the third part as well is something I've just kind of said this whole video is choose action over rumination. Keep choosing the actions over the sitting there thinking about it, because just remind yourself in the moment, man, this is not actually doing anything. Me thinking about this interaction I had and what it means for the future isn't actually doing anything. How do I know that? Because I've been doing it for the last however many years and nothing has changed. I'm still here doing it. So why do I think, oh, if I keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, it's actually gonna fix something. You realize your life has never actually been changed by your best thoughts. It's been changed by your smallest actions. One workout, one prayer, one difficult conversation, one page, one video, one decision. And maybe that's why the future you've always wanted has always felt so close, yet so far away. Not because you didn't know what to do, but because your attention kept leaving the place where your life was actually being built. In the end, you look back at the season in your life, not with embarrassment, but with sadness, because you realize how much time was spent inside conversations that never happened, opinions that were never spoken, questions that never had answers. You realized you weren't actually searching for answers. You were searching for certainty. You thought that if you could finally understand what everybody thought about you, you'd finally have permission to start living. But that permission never came. Then something changes. You stop waiting for certainty, and your attention slowly starts returning to your own life, to the work, to your purpose, to the people God has actually placed in front of you, to the man you're becoming. And you realize the life you've been praying for was never waiting on one more answer. It was waiting on your attention. Because in the end, you realize you were never meant to spend your life figuring out what everybody else thought of you. You were meant to spend it becoming the man God created you to be. And once your attention finally belongs to that, you'll wonder how you ever had time to live anywhere else. You guys let me know what you think of the topic. You can share your stories in the comments if you're brave enough to do so. Hit subscribe to join the community if you are looking for biblical community. There's also Discord if you're interested in that. But yeah, until next time, see you guys.